Hi everyone, today's June the 2nd, 2021. This is Dr. Wes Fryer, and this is the long-awaited Part 1 video of a series I'm calling The New Laptop Without Tears. This video is created specifically for our faculty and staff here at Cassidy School who will be receiving a new M1 processor MacBook Air laptop. But this could also be helpful for anyone who is going to be getting a new laptop and needs to think about how to get ready and prepare to make sure that you not only take all your data and don't lose any data, hence the name Without Tears, but also are ready to get that new laptop set up. So in this first video, and I'm going to include in the description on YouTube some timestamps so that if you want to jump ahead to any section, you can do that by clicking the timestamp. So just look below the description. I'm going to, in this video, talk about preparing the laptop to be ready to hand it off and get it erased and just wiped out so that all your data is saved. And in the second part of this video series, I'll be on a new laptop and I'll be showing you what that looks like and how you can, start downloading apps and getting things synchronized and set up. So we're going to actually talk about quite a bit in this presentation. Here in this first video, I've got 12 different sections, hence the value of clicking on just the part that you want to go to. And so we'll have a little bit longer, probably initial video here, and then we'll have some additional things in the second video. So first off, let's talk about leaving the old ways behind. Computers continue to change, and operating systems are not only updating and adding new features, but we also have had a pretty seismic change in the ways that schools manage software and the way that specifically here at our school we put printers on computers and we have allow faculty to be able to download software or get software, how all of that is set up. And so when I talk about the old ways, I'm talking primarily of two things that we really don't do anymore. You still can, but there are some better ways to do it, and I'll explain why. One of those on the Apple or Mac operating system is the program called Time Machine, which comes with the Mac operating system, and it allows you to have full copies of everything on your computer, and it really takes over an external drive, usually an external hard drive, and it allows you to have everything backed up regularly and then be able to restore everything. And it's been a wonderful program, but that mode of backing up is really not the best practice today. And so if you still do have an external hard drive, especially if you have a lot of video content, if you've got gigabytes upon gigabytes of photos and videos, it can be a really good thing to use an external drive. But for most of us, we don't need to do something with those old technologies. The new way of getting your laptop or your new laptop without tears involves something called Cloud Sync. And what I mean by Cloud Sync is we have these different services. We're a Google school at Cassidy, so we use Google Drive and all of the Google Suite, what's now called Google Workplace. And this is a school-managed, essentially, hard drive in the sky, a drive that you can access where all of your data and all of your files can go. And we have had an unlimited amount of storage. Now, technically, Google has a limit to how much, as a school, we can share and save, and I think individuals, but it's a really, really big number. So we're probably not going to run into any problems with, you ran out of storage space. You can, of course, and many of us do, have our own Google accounts. And in fact, one of the things that is good to do with that Google account is to set it up as a different profile, here in Chrome when you use your computer. But what I want to talk about today is how you can get all of your stuff on Google Drive, and that way when you go to your new computer, you'll have access to all of that data. The other place that I personally have been using for several years and have really enjoyed is iCloud, which is Apple's in the cloud server in the sky, like a removable drive, except it's accessed through the internet. And it's called iCloud. Now, this is a personally managed cloud service. So that means that our school does not provide this or support this, but it is certainly something you are free to do and welcome to do. My son actually showed me a number of years ago, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, how he had access to all his files, even things on his desktop from his computer and his documents. He had them on his phone, and I said, "How are you doing that?" And he said, "It's iCloud Drive. I've enabled that and turned that on." And so I've included a link here in this slideshow, and I should have mentioned at the top probably that the link to these slides is also available in this video. So if you want to be able to click any of these hyperlinks, you can. You can turn on iCloud Drive, and if you choose to, you can actually increase the amount of storage that you have. The benefit of that is that everything which is on your desktop of your computer in your user that you're logged in as, and everything that's on your or in your documents folder, all of that gets immediately backed up and saved to the cloud, and then when you log into your new computer, it's all there. Now, you also have the ability, if you want, to synchronize your photos and other things as well with iCloud. I personally use that myself. I use both Google and iCloud. You don't have to, but the best practice today is to use a cloud storage option for your files, and the easiest thing to do is probably to just use Google, since that's what's provided as a school account, and you just use your school Google account in order to log in. Now, one of the things that you'll want to do now, before you get your new laptop, is to take an inventory of the printers and the apps that you have installed. And let me actually just show you on printers how that works. When you go to the Apple in the upper left corner and you click System Preferences, you can choose Printers and Scanners, and you can see all of the printers that you have installed for your computer. And not all these are necessarily accessible to me, but I can see that, I've been printing over in our library and over in our lower division and here in our middle division. I've got a number of printers set up. You're going to need to install new printers when you get your new laptop. And thankfully, it's easier to do than ever before because of self-service, which is a feature of our management software that's called Jamf. And I'll be talking about that in the next video. But you might just take a note of the printers that you have access to. And generally at our school, you will have access to a black and white shared printer and a color shared printer. And that depends on what division and building and things like that you're in. But you'll want to set that up. And you might just take a look to remind yourself, oh yeah, those are the printers. Those are the names of the printers that I need to get set up. The other thing which you're going to need, and yours is probably going to look a lot less complicated than mine, is you need to take a look at the applications, the software programs that are installed on your laptop so that you can install them on your new laptop. Now, what I have done in this slide is taken some screenshots. And so you're going to be going to your Finder, and I can actually show you this. So I'm going to click here in my dock on the side of my screen and bring up a Finder window. Maybe to make that a little clearer, I'll minimize my slide here. Okay, so here's my Finder window. And if I click on Applications, these are all of the applications, the programs that are installed here on my computer. And of course, when you're in the Finder, you can view things like this as icons down here at the bottom of my screen. You can see I have 114 different applications. That's a lot of additional applications that don't just come on your Mac laptop. You can view these by icon. I really like to click and view them as a list, and then when I click on name, they're either alphabetized or in descending order. These are all the programs that I have on my computer. And so what I have done, again, for myself, is I have taken, I can get the right slideshow up here, which is not that one. There we go. I have taken some screenshots of those programs, and I've drawn a little red arrow next to the ones that I know that I'll want to use again. And so you could write this down on paper. I would just type up maybe a Google Doc, make a note for yourself of the programs that you have installed. Now there are a number of programs that are automatically on the computer. You could also, like I've done, take a screenshot and use that picture In fact, the program that I use all the time is called Sketch, and I use Sketch to take screenshots. It's one of my favorite programs, so I can just click and drag, and I can make a capture, and I can make a screenshot. I love Sketch. It's free, and I can draw arrows and do all kinds of things with it. That is an example of one of the programs that I'm going to install on my new computer. Some of the programs that you'll want to install can be installed from our self-service app, Cassidy Self-Service. Others you're going to have to download on your own. So in my example, I have 114 total apps on my MacBook, and there are 21 of these that I'm going to want to reinstall. And, that's going to take a little bit of time. But an important part of the process is knowing what programs I have. Therefore, I'll be able to hopefully get all the ones that I want reinstalled on my new computer. Okay, let's talk a little bit about turning off Find My. This is really important because Apple has this excellent security feature which protects us when we have an iPhone, an iPad, or a laptop or desktop. Any Apple device has this Find My, and it allows us to, if it's turned on, use a phone in the app and say ping my phone or ping my computer, and it makes a noise, and you can find it. It'll also give you information if it would get stolen. You can erase all your data. It's a good feature, but it needs to be turned off. Everybody getting a new laptop at our school this year needs to turn this off, because all of us are going to be required to turn in our laptop. There's proprietary software that needs to be erased and taken off. And so even if you're going to buy back your laptop, which you can do this year, and there's information about that from our technology department, even when you're going to get the same laptop that you have now, you still have to do this. You've got to turn it in because it's got to be erased. So here's how you do it. You're going to go up to the Apple menu in the upper left corner, and you're going to click the Apple, and you're going to choose System Preferences. Then you're going to look up here at the top where it says Apple ID, and you're going to click there on Apple ID. Now, if you don't see your name up here where I've drawn this red box, you have not logged into iCloud, and you can just skip this entire portion. But if you see your name up here, and when you click on Apple ID, if there's a bunch of things checked or unchecked, you're signed in to your Apple ID. And I have an arrow here going to the green, looks sort of like a CD, I think it's supposed to be like a radar screen, that says Find My Mac. You need to turn that off on your laptop, and if you're turning in an iPad, you'll need to turn that off on that iPad as well. And that's just really important. You can also completely sign out of iCloud, but either way, that's going to turn off the Find My feature, and it's going to allow the next person who buys this laptop and has it to log in and use it. Important to recognize, this is optional. You don't have to sign in with our school with an Apple ID. We don't manage those for school, so it's an independent thing that we just do as faculty and staff. Apple gives you a little bit of cloud storage. You may want or need to pay Apple a little bit more depending upon how much stuff you have to back up and save. Our family pays for a family plan, and we share that storage, and so that's worked out really well for us, and I like that a lot, but that's optional. However, I find it to be really helpful, and I wanted you to know about the fact that you can do that. Everybody needs to turn off Find My before you turn in your computer. Okay, let's talk a little bit about browser syncs. Most of us are using the Chrome web browser today, but there are a few folks that are still using FireFox, and personally, I like to have both browsers installed because sometimes something will happen and I want to test something in another browser, or just, it doesn't happen that often, but I like to have another browser. So here's what you'll need to do. On your existing computer, go up to the upper right corner where I have that top arrow and click on the icon that either is your picture or some other icon that you've chosen for yourself in Google. And then you're going to look below to see if sync is turned on. If sync is not turned on, you're going to want to click that and enable sync. And synchronization means all of your bookmarks and your history and everything that you have inside Chrome is going to be saved so that you can log into your new computer and have everything. when our kids, or when we sign into a Chromebook, by default, the sync is turned on. And so you get not only your bookmarks, but your extensions. I know there's a lot of people that like Grammarly. I'm a big fan of the, it's called uBlock Origin. It's oh shoot, well, I'll just show that to you. uBlock Origin is a free Chrome extension that blocks ads. I love this, okay? It has over 10 million users. We want to be careful when we're getting different extensions. But all of those things that are set up on the laptop, in my Chrome account, when I log into a Chromebook, they just automatically sync over, and the same thing happens here on an Apple or actually a Windows computer running Chrome if you have sync turned on. Okay, so you need to do this before you give your laptop away or you give it back, is make sure that you have sync turned on. Therefore, all of those account settings are going to be saved in the cloud, and they'll be ready for you when you log into your new laptop. Okay, let's talk about Firefox briefly. Firefox is another web browser by Mozilla. It's very fast, it's updated, and some people have used Firefox for a long time and they love it. And so that's fine. You can have Firefox, but just like Chrome, you want to synchronize your Firefox. Otherwise, bookmarks and the things that you have saved are not going to come over on your new computer. Okay, so that's pretty important. We don't want anyone to lose data. Remember, this is the new laptop without tears. So please make sure that you have that turned on. All right, let's talk a little bit about understanding local files and kind of how the file structure is set up on your computer. This may be more basic than some of you need, but here's one of the things that I've realized. A lot of teachers, and I'd say a number of teachers at our school have a lot of things in their downloads folder that they haven't moved over into another folder. If you save things in your downloads folder, and that's where, when you download something from the internet, that's where it goes, that is not backed up or saved automatically by iCloud, and it's not automatically in Google Drive either. If you use iCloud Drive, your desktop and your documents, those are all saved, but your downloads are not, okay? You also on the Mac have a movies folder, and you have a photos folder, and you have a music folder. What I'd like to do is just go ahead and show this to you. Again, I think I'll just minimize this. So here I am looking at a Finder window, and another way to do this when you're in the Finder is you can click on Go, and you can select, that's one way to get to the applications folder. I'm just going to click Home. And so I'm going to the Home folder for my account, my user account, all right? And so these are the folders that Apple has created for me or that other programs have. So I have a personal applications folder, which I don't really put anything in. I put everything in my main user applications folder. Adobe, if you install Creative Cloud, makes a folder, but here's downloads. So let's double click this. Currently, I have 47 things that I have downloaded here in this folder, and those are not going to be backed up. So if I want to save any of those things, I need to actually move those to my desktop or my documents, or I need to, move them up to Google Drive. Movies, I have made a bunch of movies here, especially last year when we were, all hands on helping everybody with the, end of year celebrations and all kinds of things. These are not going to be backed up because that's usually a really large folder. That would be a case where if you have a lot of movies and they're saved here, you'll want to back that up to an external hard drive. That could be a really big flash drive, or it could be a plug-in external drive. Your music folder. Now, a lot of us are synchronizing our iTunes to iCloud, and so you don't have to worry. All of your music that has been downloaded is going to automatically synchronize. But if you're not doing that, you could want to, save your music file. And there's going to be a folder, actually this iTunes folder right here is what has all of your iTunes music. So that would be a folder that you're going to want to copy, and you can either, copy and paste it, or you can, I'll show you in a second how to open up two windows, and you could drag that over to your hard drive. Pictures, if you put pictures in there, that's something that you could put in. Check that out. My photos library, I have 95 gigabytes of data in there. And all of that is backed up for my Apple ID. I don't have to worry about backing that up. But if you're not signed in with your Apple ID, you better move that folder, because otherwise those pictures are going to be erased, and you'll need to save that file. And then you've also got a public folder, and anyways, Zotero is a program that I have. So that that is your home folder. Now I'm going to go up here to the Go menu, and I'm going to choose Documents. And because I have iCloud Drive turned on, my documents are not locally saved. They are in iCloud Drive. And that's because, as I showed you a little while ago, when I selected my settings for, if I can choose the right one here, I'm going to choose the right Chrome window. No, I chose the wrong one. I set up my iCloud so that I have all these things synchronized, including iCloud Drive here at the top. If you don't have iCloud Drive synchronizing your documents, then you're going to need to copy yourself your Google Documents up to Google Drive. Okay? And that's what I'd like to talk about next. All right, Google Drive. So there are two main ways that you can send files and get files, open them from Google Drive. The first way, and I think this is probably the best way, is just using your web browser. So you can go up to drive.google.com, or you can go click on your waffle, just open up a new tab, click on your waffle, which is the 3x3 grid that's there. Of course, you can reorganize these if you want to move them around. I have Google Drive right up here near the top, and just go ahead and go to Google Drive. When you have files that you want to send up here to Google Drive, you can do that a couple ways. You can click on New, and you can individually go to File and say, I want to upload that file, and it'll say, oh, where's the file that you want? And maybe that's in my documents, and I want to, go into my academics folder, and I've got a Spanish lesson or a computer lesson that I want, and you can just individually go in there and get a file. Okay, that's one way to do it. The better way to do that is to go to New and choose Folder Upload. This way you can get an entire folder of stuff, and you can send that entire folder up to Google Drive. For instance, I have a folder called Desktop Stuff, and then animated GIFs. Okay, so I've got a bunch of animated images that I've used in emails and things like that, and on slideshows. If I click Upload, that entire folder, well, shoot, let me just do it as an example. I'll click it, and it's going to say upload 181 files, because that's how many files are in there. Yes, I want you to upload 181. Now, those are all relatively small, and so it gives me an idea of how long this is going to take. I'm zooming in here to the corner to show you. It tells me about how many minutes are going to be left. I would recommend doing this process at school, not at home, because most of us are not going to have as much internet bandwidth to push files up at home as we do at school. We have one of the fastest connections from Cox, and we have only 30 megabits up. But here at school, we have a whole gigabit of data that we can push up, and so anyway, that means that this process of backing stuff up happens a lot faster at school than it will at home. So this is almost done. It's 133 of 182 files. You can see this takes a little while, but once this happens, then that folder, everything that's inside that folder, is now on Google Drive. And so I will be able to get to that from my new computer. Now, there's another way. And this is something that a number of people like, and there's benefits to it. The name has been changed over time. This used to be called Google's Backup and Sync. Then a few years ago, it was called Google Drive File Stream, and there were two versions, one for us at school as a business enterprise user of Google, and different for what we had as individuals. Now it is just called Google Drive Desktop, okay? But when you go to google.com/drive/download, you can download this program. And when I get to my new computer and show you that setup, I'm going to go ahead and install Google Drive Desktop and show you what that looks like. You can, if you want, but this can be complicated and it can lead to a lot of duplicated files. You can install that now if you haven't used it before. But I would actually encourage you to think about using the web browser and the way that I just showed you where I went to, let's see if this is done now. Yay, it's almost finished. We went to the new menu and we said folder upload and move that whole folder. I think that's probably the simplest way. But if you have used Google Drive backup or that you probably have upgraded to that, because I don't think the Google Drive file stream is still being supported. You can actually move files back and forth using your Finder. Okay, I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. I'll just mention Apple ID Sync. I've talked about this before in terms of iCloud, but when you click on your Apple ID, you have a variety of different services that you can turn on or off. And the one that I would encourage you to turn on if you want to do the backup of your desktop and your documents is iCloud Drive. So iCloud Drive, as I already talked about a little bit, is Apple's sort of server in the sky, their hard drive in the sky. And so I have a link here that you can go to that talks about how to use iCloud Drive. Once you have that turned on, you don't have local documents in your documents folder. All of your documents are saved, up to the cloud. But I think that's really good to use and find that useful, but it's completely optional. You don't have to. Okay, we're almost done. We've just got a couple more topics. Let's talk about Finder-based file organization. So I'm going to hide my slideshow here, and let me just open up some Finder windows. So I'm not in a program. If I go to the upper left corner, and I'll zoom in here to show you this, it says Finder, and the Finder is the file management system of the Mac. And so here in the Finder, I can create things like new folders, but I can also have new windows. And as an example, here let's make a window, and I'll show my desktop here. And then I'm going to go to File and choose, oops, I didn't mean to do a new folder. Let me delete that. I'm going to make another Finder window, and now I'll move this over here. So here's an example. So my iCloud Drive, I've got, for instance, my documents, okay? I could copy something from my downloads, okay? I have 47 items in my downloads. Pardon me. If I wanted to save one of these files, I can drag it from this window over here and copy it. I like, when I'm organizing my files, to do that. I like to be able to move it from one file location to another. I have about 83 mainly folders here in my documents. One of the things that some of us will have to do is go through our downloads folder and see if there's anything in here we want to save. If you want to save it, you can drag it out to your desktop. You can also make another you can have another window here for where you want to drag. But that process of moving it from this location to that location is really important. And if it is something that you need assistance or help with, remember that you can send an email to helpdesk@cassidy.org. And that is the fastest way to get assistance at our school. Okay? All right. Let's talk about whether you're retiring or leaving the school. How do you get your Google data out? There is a great free service from Google called Google Takeout, and it allows you to export all of your data that Google has saved in the cloud and move it to another account. Now, you can use an existing Gmail account that you have, or something I would encourage you to consider. You can actually just set up a new empty Google account, and then you'll run this Google Takeout. You'll go to this link, takeout.google.com, and when you do, and I'll do it right now, it's going to ask you, what data do you want to include? And I didn't include screenshots. Look at all this stuff. Google has got a lot of data about me, and so you're going to choose all of the things. The main one you're definitely going to want, most likely, is Google Drive. That's where all of your files are going to be. And so you can go in here where it says all drive data included. If you don't want all of those folders, you could choose to just have, certain folders. Okay. If I only wanted to have my 1-to-1 folder and my 2021 academics, I wouldn't have to get them all. But usually people want to select them all and then, just include them all. And you go ahead and select that. One thing to remember is that on a new consumer account, or maybe your current consumer account, you may not have enough storage to accept all those files. So you may actually need to pay Google if you want to use their cloud storage to bring all of your files over. Okay? Now, one other thing to mention about this. Here in Google Drive, we now have shared drives that we can select up here. And depending upon your role at the school and your division, you're going to have access to different folders. For instance, here's the public folder that we share here in middle division. These files and folders are not going to automatically come over to your account. If there is a folder that you want to have backed up, you're going to need to add a shortcut to Google Drive, and that allows it to appear in your Google Drive. And I guess I would need to test this to confirm. I think that will also allow it to back up for you. But to be safe, on the safe side, if you've got a shared drive, for instance, I've done a lot of work on digital citizenship here at Cassidy. And so here are all the things from, actually this was last year, but here's all the 2019, 2020 things that we did with digital citizenship. I would recommend that you just go ahead and download those, so you can select the folder and choose download. It's going to make a zip file of all of those files, and then I could choose to put that in my Google Drive. Or maybe you're going to want to keep it in Google. You could upload that into your new Google account. But takeout.google.com is really good. There's a lot of data there, but I would recommend you definitely visit that and then consider how much of your data do you want to take with you, and it'll let you make all of those selections. All right, last topic. Special cases, external drive file copy. In the past, this is how we had to back our stuff up. We didn't have cloud storage. We had to have a drive that we put it in, or directly hook a laptop up and copy stuff over. Now we can get relatively affordable flash drives that have a lot of storage space. We can also have an external drive that we can save things to. So either of those options are good. And if you want to make a local copy of your files, you'll put those in, and as I mentioned before, I recommend you open 2 windows side by side in the Finder, and then you can move those files over. So on the left, you could have your local documents. On the right, you can click the icon for your flash drive or your hard drive, go to the folder where you want, and then you drag those files over. That is the process, and again, depending upon your situation, you may want to move some files that way. Last thing, if you need more help, you can send an email at Cassidy if you are a Cassidy faculty and staff member to helpdesk@cassidy.org, and members of our technology team will be glad to point you in the right direction and assist you with your questions. So thank you for your attention, and I would encourage you, in the link or in the description, I'll include a link to part 2 of this video, which is going to talk about setting up your new laptop and what you're going to want to do there to get everything set so you have a new laptop without tears. Thanks.